Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. What causes one to become fearful? Why do we feel the need to have control? What's the difference between knowing joy and being established in joy? How can we face these challenges and overcome them? In this next episode, Vivekji teaches us the cause and solution to these questions. Let's tune in.
Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. Have you all listened to Pandit Jasraj before? You know, when he sings, he's able to essentially use his throat to change his intonation so much. Sometimes when I chant, my throat is so raw that I feel like I'm doing that, but in a most awful way. And it must annoy all of you very much. So I appreciate your pseudo acceptance and patience of my health condition. In Bhagavad Gita's chapter 7, I just flowed through this in Meaningful Mornings. Bhagavan Krishna shares that he is apara prakriti and para prakriti. Apara prakriti means matter, and para prakriti means spirit. All clear? Where do you live? Do you live in matter, or do you live in spirit? Now, I know you're all going to share that you live in the spirit, but I want to know how. How do you know if you're living in matter or if you're living in spirit? Let's start with spirit. How do you know that you're living in the spirit? Share in the chat. You can live everywhere. Good gauges. You're more compassionate. Okay. How do you know if you're living in matter? What happens to you? What do you experience? You're anxious, rajasic, agitated, annoyed, emotional in a negative way. Seems like you all know about matter a little bit more than spirit. Matter is that which is ever changing. And if you lean in, if you live in that which is ever changing, then naturally the experience you're going to have is one of busyness. You're always trying to keep up. More deeply, your experience will be one of insecurity. Obviously, if you're depending on that which is not secure, you're going to feel insecure. You don't need me to say that. Your experience will be of samsara. Samsara is that which is always slipping away. So we feel tired, physically, mentally, and so on. I feel most of us do live in apara prakriti. We do live in matter, which is why this is our experience. And this is also why we are in this course. A pata, a system for us to shift our leaning on from matter to spirit. As we approach our final 3 classes, the final headspaces until moksha, I offer my significant appreciation to all of our students who are in this class. I mean those in high school, college, and so on. Because right now, you would be preparing for exams or writing exams. If you are not in this class because you're writing an exam, that's logical. If you're not in this class because you're preparing for an exam, that's illogical. This pata towards moksha makes you a better student. You listen more carefully, you reflect more carefully, you practice more carefully. So all of us, when you have more demand in your life, that is when you should engage in more sadhana or investing in your equipment. So my appreciation to all of our students. Headspace 86. Vichara. In English, inquiry. This inquiry is a practice in filtering what is not important so that you can be clear about what is important. And please know, there is a completion to this vichara where there is no more filtering. This is unfiltered. That is when one experiences God's world. As long as we have likes and dislikes, that is not God's world. That is the ego's world. But through filtering, I come to feel God's world. You all know the song by Drake, God's Plan. Vichara is a way to tune into God's plan, God's world. Headspace 87, Advaita, or oneness. A very powerful word, a very poetic word. We sometimes throw this around casually. How can one live oneness, make this one's headspace? The more you discipline your body, mind, and intellect, discipline, direct, and so on, the less differences you will experience. But the more indisciplined the equipments are, they are wild, they create more wildness. But if they're disciplined, even if there are differences in personalities and skin colors, one will not be lost in that. It's like they're not different. Headspace 88, dhyana, or meditating. This is a verb. I had shared the 4 P's involved with meditating. P1, purification. That is your lifestyle. P2, preparation. That is your immediate context, which I will talk about more very shortly. P3, personalization. That is what dhyana is. And the fulfillment of this, P4, perfection. A perfect joy. Now, another way to analyze this, more detail given, specifically on P2. I had shared this in Meaningful Mornings. 5 S's. If you want to contemplate, if you want to practice dhyana, these are the 5 S's involved. In your immediate context, S1 is space. To establish a space that is clean, simple, inspiring. You use this space, same time, same intention every day. S2, seat. Your seat should be firm yet comfortable. Relatedly, your seat should be aligned with your sanctum. This is still S2. Your altar, where you have an icon of your Ishta Deva, your personal God, and your Ishta Guru, your personal guide. And their feet are aligned with your eyes. So you are sitting lower than them. There's so much more, but I have to be brief. S3, senses. Your body is firm yet comfortable. Your breath is natural. You are not controlling your breath. So essentially, your senses are disengaged. They're doing nothing. You don't even know that they're there. S4, sentiment. This relates to the mind and intellect, where you are letting go of the past and the future. So you're tuning into the present. And in the present, you feel that you are a nobody. You don't have a nationality, you don't have a gender, you don't have a personality type, that I'm the nice guy or I'm the athletic guy. All of that is let go of. And that leads to, those 4 S's lead to dhyana, which is surrender. Surrendering the ego. That is what dhyana is. And those will be the headspaces that I'll be covering today, all relating to surrender. Headspace 89, samadhi. In English, realization. Coming back to chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. If anyone wants an authoritative source on contemplation, please don't look anywhere else but chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. It is the authority. Bhagavan Krishna says in verse 14, mat paraha, which means in contemplation, you should feel that Bhagavan Krishna is the highest. And when you complete this contemplation, that's where you're identifying with Bhagavan Krishna, identifying with the highest. That is mat samstam. That comes in verse 15, where Bhagavan Krishna says, you have become one with me, the creator consciousness. That's what samadhi is, realizing what your nature is. And headspace 90, which is sannyasa, renunciation. I've been with our vanaprasthas quite a bit of late, and I was sharing with our vanaprasthas. In the 3rd phase of your life, the focus is on kama, or desire. But desire for what? It is desire for moksha. To be more clear and more strong than ever before. That should be your only desire. And what's beautiful about this, shared in a more objective way, it is where you come to the maturity that all you need is yourself. To practice sannyasa is to have that clarity that I do not need any article, being, or circumstance in my life. All I need is myself. And that's a very empowering insight, because you can feel that anywhere, correct? You can feel that all the time. 3 more headspaces. Headspace 91. Abhaya. This is one of my favorite words in Advaita Vedanta. Abhaya means fearlessness. Fearlessness. Back in the day, did any of you have those t-shirts with the saying, no fear? Did you ever have those t-shirts? That's abhaya. In our culture, we are mostly exposed to the greatest dana is vidya dana. You've all heard that before, that it's greater than annadana. But there's another component greater than vidya dana is abhaya dana. To be able to gift, to be able to guide one, to be fearless is the greatest. And that is why, again, in our culture, when we have icons or murtis of Bhagwan, can you show me what one of their hands tends to do? It's this. Most of us live in the wrong way, so we think, Jopper is coming. But it's not curved back like that, okay? It's just this. This is known as the abhaya mudra. Abhaya means come. Imagine your hand is coming, saying like that, come, come. And then that hand is on top of you, that you're with me now. Abhaya mudra. And what's also lovely about this is, tell me what's another name for Bhagwan Shiva? Another name for Bhagwan Shiva. Abhayangara. It'd be hilarious if you came up with some other name not relating to Abhaya. Abhayangara is made up of two compounds. Abhaya plus kara. Kara means to do. Only one who is fearless can cause fearlessness, correct? If you're around someone who's so afraid, you don't become fearless because of that. Zooming into this more practically. Some years ago, I was part of a young adults retreat in in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Some of you were there. Some of you were the organizers. And our retreat theme was fear as an acronym, which is face everything and run. That's what our relationship with fear is, correct? Face everything and run. How that plays out in our life. For those who are tamasic, meaning you have a lot of darkness in your personality, or laziness may be better, you are fearful. What are you full of? Fear. Maybe that darkness example works, right? We're afraid of the dark. We're full of fear. For those who are rajasic, their personalities are aggressive. They are daring. What is their relationship with fear? They're daring. They feel being fearless, they feel this is a matter of adrenaline, a matter of masculinity. They're the ones who go skydiving and play hella sports and so on and claim that they're fearless. But all it is being daring. The evolution of this, and this is what we have to hold on to, evolve to, those who are sattvic, their personalities are filled with quietness. They are courageous. Courageous. You know what courage is? Feeling that Monday is the same as Friday. That you embrace your responsibilities, not being shaken by likes and dislikes. That's courage. And so secretly, I was testing you and I said, 2 weeks from now, when we complete this course, how do you feel? You all passed. That you have the courage to be here on Thursday nights for 32 weeks, voluntarily. Studying a subject that has no focus on utility, only on freedom. That is a great expression of courage. And the evolution of that, those who go beyond quietness to silence, they are fearless. They are fearless. So much to share about this. I think I have to keep moving, but 2 more quick insights before I continue. Abhaya is the first word in our book. For those who are following along with the book, it just naturally is that important. In reference to Bhagavad Gita, the source of our fear, it's called bhaya. That source is raga, or attachment. And the source of attachment is vikshepa, or projection. I project, I expect, I fear. Sharing this in a simpler framework. If you have a plan to gain, then you will also feel that you can lose, which is why you feel fear. If there's something to gain, there's something to lose, which means there will be fear then. Correct? But if you have nothing to gain, you have nothing to lose, so you have nothing to fear. So how do I practically change this sense of gain? Live selflessly. Everything involved to live selflessly, do it, because your gain is no longer external, your gain is internal. You become more compassionate and disciplined and patient and generous and gracious and merciful. You become in control of what you want in your life then, because it's coming from you. Make sense? Like for a healthy person, where did they get their insulin from? From themselves. They have no fear in terms of insulin. But for someone who's insulin dependent, there's always that fear. Do I have my tablet? Do I have my needle? And so on. This course is very important because you can casually read through this book. And what will happen? You will casually know these words, but that practice will not be there. Headspace 92. Saksi. Very popular word in Vedanta, a very popular name in our culture also. Sheila and I made a deal that if we did have a girl, her name would be Sakshi. But I already made a deal with Bhagwan that we wouldn't have a girl. Don't take this the wrong way, okay? I really like the names Vyasa and Shuka. So Bhagwan manifested it this way. Sakshi means observer. Observer. Can you give me an opposite to observer? What would be the antonym to Sakshi or observer? Share some thoughts in the chat. Reactor. I like how that's spelled too, like a nuclear reactor. A doer, an identifier, an involver. Now you're just playing with English. A talker, a taker. For me, it would be a controller. The opposite of an observer is a controller. How many of you feel you have a controlling personality? All of the micromanagers, put your hands up. I should ask your families and your friends to answer this question. The majority of us are controllers. And we don't like to be identified as a controller, but we are. And what happens with the controller is they feel the functional is fundamental. So they try to control it. They try to make it perfect. But the one who's practicing sakshi bhava, being the observer, the functional is the functional. It can't be perfect. So let it be. For those in parenting culture, which is going so well, I'm quite happy with our Monday night satsangs. I was sharing this recently about discipline, that parents need to practice let it be more. It's a great song. It is a great sadhana. I don't think you're all into alternative music or rock and roll. You know Let It Be is a song by the Beatles. You all know who the Beatles are, yes? You are all living in the world, isn't it? It's like satellite internet. You're in a different planet right now. So, zooming in on how to practice being an observer, because it's an amazing sadhana. It's quite causal. Start by being more organized. Be more organized with your outer world. Directions, names, where you keep your keys. I find so much of society is allowing us to become forgetful. How many of you use those tiles for your keys? I don't know where my keys are, so there's a tile there. So my phone tells me, but what if you lose your phone? Then what do? Then someone has to call your phone and everyone's searching through the house. Be organized. If you develop this, then what will happen is you'll begin to be more observant of your inner world. This is a very precious practice in yoga. The purpose of yoga is to transcend the thoughts of the mind. Observing the thoughts is a step towards transcending them. And though I feel I'm being practical, if you want to gauge of if you're practicing being an observer or not, here are two. One gauge is you feel less burnout. Those who are controlling, physically, they tend to burn out. They don't last as long during the day. They're always tired in the evening, so cranky and so on. I know that's not you. I wish through Zoom I can come to your home right now and just get ready for class in your home to observe how much of a sakshi you are. So that's one gauge. And another gauge is there's no boredom. There's no boredom. A person who becomes boring has to have thoughts like this. Their thoughts have to be fun. They always have to be entertained. But for an observer, the content of their thoughts is not as important. They're watching that. So less burnout, less boredom. Good? One more headspace. 93. Saranagati. Saranagati. In English, surrender. Isn't that fascinating? That as we evolve in this pata, surrender is there. In the world, this should be at the bottom, correct? You should come out of surrender to control. Ours is the opposite. You should grow out of control into surrender. Headspace 69 was bhakti. Do you remember the English word for bhakti? Please share in the chat. Headspace, yes. I'm quite sure that I shared dependence. Good. Yes, it is dependence. See, devotion is the word that you're going to see in a typical theoretical text. Dependence is the word you'll see in a practical text. It is to depend. Surrender is an expression of dependence. Bhakti should be fulfilled in saranagati. And we have such a cool icon in our book. The icon is of a seatbelt. A seatbelt. When samsara is outside, imagine a car that is spinning. What is your first source of safety? What is touching you most closely? It is that seatbelt, correct? It's not the airbags, it's not the tires. It is that seatbelt. And in many cases, through studies, seatbelts save lives. If there's an accident and airbags are there, ABS is there, but those who are not wearing seatbelts, their fate is different. It's a really awesome icon. How do we practice surrender? I'm about to finish today's class, so you tell me, how do you reach this headspace? And don't give me synonyms. Pranidhana is a synonym. I can come up with 50 synonyms right now too. This is not a language class. How do you practice surrender? Those in our Bhagavata class, you know we're approaching hour 124. Good. Holding on to the higher. Trust. Gratitude. Acceptance is coming a lot. Japa. I'm glad you're reflecting on this in a practical way. Again, the Seeker's Word Book, this pata, is not an alternative dictionary. Yes, this is a reflective workbook. The way to evolve from bhakti to saranagati is the same way to evolve from knowing to establishing, which is shared in Bhagavad Gita. We all know joy, but we're not established in that joy. How do you get established? It is by entering the trust triangle. The trust triangle is your Sadguru, your Shastra, your Bhagwan, in that order. Point 1, point 2, point 3. You enter into this trust. I said triangle, correct? Did I say circle earlier? I'm sorry. Because usually it's called a trust circle, correct? Here, it is a trust triangle because a triangle is a stronger structure. It is for us to know more about this trust triangle. When you know more, you are ready to surrender more to this trust triangle. We are all ready to surrender to the one who will protect us. Correct? When Vyasa is harassing Shuka, Sharanagati, to his Pitashri, he trusts that I will protect him. And if that altercation is genuine, then I will protect him. If it's not, I'll run away. Protect yourself. But see, he only does that because he trusts me, correct? He's not going to do that to the neighbor. There will be more fear from the neighbor. That person is bigger, stranger. No more. And through this, we will enter and hold on. This trust triangle is not context-based. For all of you, if you feel you're in this trust triangle on Thursdays at 9 o'clock, but you don't feel you're in this trust triangle on Thursdays at 10:05, then you've not entered. You don't know enough. You know, but you're not established. It is not context-based. For so many of you, I've never met you before. We've never seen each other's eyes, but I care so much about you. Otherwise, why would I be doing what I'm doing right now? It's not context-based. How do you know if you're practicing saranagati? I will share more next week, but shifting from being a controller to an observer, you're surrendering that doership, you become more cheerful. That is how you know you're surrendering all that's holding you back. You are more cheerful.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.